Hi, my name is Shawna, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministry here at St. Andrew. Have you ever tried to do anything with a young child? Tasks can sometimes take a lot longer than you intended. They can sometimes be just a little bit harder. I remember the stage of young children. Even though it was a while ago at my house, I remember it well. The days sometimes seemed really, really long. But man, those years went really, really fast. But they could sometimes be exhausting. Chasing after a toddler, running to all of the little kids' activities where they just needed you all the time. And I remember how going to worship with my young children sometimes felt like an impossible task. Sometimes I joked that going to worship BC, before children, and AD, after diapers, was just like two completely different experiences. And I sometimes wondered if it was even worth it. The goldfish in the pews, all of the things that I had to bring with to entertain them and try to keep them focused on whatever was happening. But eventually, I would notice that they started to engage in whatever was happening in the worship service. I would notice that they repeated some of the prayers. I would notice that they started to sing some of the songs. And I realized that they were getting it. And that's when I realized that it was worth it. I just got back from a really great weekend of family camp at Spirit in the Pines, and there was all kinds of great families there. Families with grandparents, families with parents and young kids. And I will say that it was a beautiful representation of the body of Christ and what it looks like when we welcome children as Jesus has asked us to do. I think about that story in Mark chapter 9 when the disciples are arguing about who among them is the greatest. And Jesus takes a child and puts it in the middle of them and says, whoever welcomes a child among them is welcoming me. And we know that this isn't always easy. Kids are messy and they're loud and sometimes challenging. And so this story isn't just about welcoming kids. It's about welcoming everybody, because kids aren't the only people that are hard to welcome sometimes, right? It might be the person that thinks a little bit differently than you. It might be the person that sings a little bit off key. It might be the person that does things just a little bit differently than you. These are the people that Jesus calls us to welcome and to love radically. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And when the body of Christ comes together to do that, well, it can be pretty incredible. I hope to see you at worship sometime soon, or maybe even at Spirit in the Pines, where you can really see the body of Christ in action.